Welcome, UCL fans, to our mid-season analysis for the United Championship League off-season Little Cup tournament. We're now 3 weeks into this tournament, and we have 3 more weeks left to go before we actually move into the semifinals and finals. So, if you do enjoy this video, please leave it a thumbs up. Let me know what team in the division that we covered today you think will make it into the playoffs as well. So, we're first going to go ahead and pull up the brackets. We've previously covered the Kanto and Johto divisions, and this time we're going to be covering the Hoenn Division. So this will be a unique one to try and do, considering, I'll get to that in a moment. So let's pull up the teams. These are all the teams with their current records, as well as a differential that has no merit as far as who will make it into the playoffs for it. So starting off with the Pittsburgh Pichus, currently 0-2 and 1, and that's because their match that was supposed to take place against the Grand Canyon Greninjas never took place. I'm still waiting to try and hear back from either of the coaches as well as the UCL itself to see how this will actually affect the standings or what the scoring would be for it. Because if that match had still taken place, whoever would have won, actually either team would have still had a chance at making it into the playoffs for it. But unfortunately, they did not. So, team captain, of course, of the Pittsburgh Pichus being Eevee. You have Cottony, which hasn't really done a whole lot. Ghastly, Surskit, Binnacle, Tyrant, Mana, and Shanks all have made appearances. Only Pokemon that have not have been Doduo, Mudkip, and Flabébé. Kind of interesting to see. But again, with them only of competing 2 out of the 3 weeks thus far, it's really hard to see who could potentially move on. Hopefully, this does not continue for the remainder of the season. We actually see them trying to fight their way through it just to get something going for them. Up next, we have the New York Yankees, currently 2-1. Have one of the pretty decent teams for it. Has had really great strategies with Magnemite, being able to go with a Berry Juice Recycle. Of course, Mankey being one of their highest killers so far with 3 knockouts, but a pretty well-rounded team with everything going on. Each of the Pokemon brought so far, with the exception of the Skiddo and the Wingull, have at least immersed some type of knockout during their time with it. The only Pokemon that they actually have not brought has been the Combee, and I don't foresee Combee ever coming to the battle for it. It'll be very unlikely to see that happening. So it's probably the only team that has utilized, almost every single Pokemon on their team to some way. Only 1 loss so far, and of course that was to our next team, the St. Louis Rampardos. Of course, the St. Louis, every time they face off against the Yankees, they have always come up with a victory, whether it's been in the UCL or the GBA. St. Louis Rampardos always seem to have the right number, always have the Yankees numbers down. So, of course, team captain Cranidos has done pretty well, currently 2-0 with them. And I'd say, obviously you can see their biggest winners have been Mienfoo, who's had 5 knockouts and currently leading the entire division in knockouts, but has brought just about all their team with them. The only ones they have not brought has been Grimer and Lotad, which is about the average, each team only having brought all but 2 Pokemon throughout the entirety of this tournament so far. Lotad was kind of surprised to see did not bring, especially when they went up against the Yankees, considering the water weakness that the St. Louis Rampardos have with Cranidos, Diglett, Sandshrew, Nosepass, all having a lot of water weaknesses there, and has been brought a lot of those each different time for it. Of course, bringing Diglett all 3 matches, trying to get the arena trap going on with somebody there, so... But they still are pretty much, they're undefeated, moving on. Good chance of them actually making it into the playoffs. Now, in the off chance that, let's say, they win against, of course, the Grand Canyon Greninjas and Pittsburgh Pichus again. If the Yankees actually somehow manage to pull off a win, which won't happen until week 6, if they manage to pull out the win, and of course they have to win the rest of their matches, it'll come down to the team captains with Cranidos versus Mankey, and unfortunately Mankey will have the advantage being a fighting type going up against a rock type. So there's a good chance that the Yankees could potentially make it into playoffs. All they need to do is win the remainder of the matches and have the same, and of course that includes them defeating the St. Louis Rampardos. So a very tall order, but it can be done. Finally, moving on, we have the Grand Canyon Greninjas, 0-2-1, exact same record of the Pittsburgh Pichus, just because, again, their match never took place for Week 3, or at least if it did, neither team ever uploaded it, so we don't know what that is going to entail for the remainder of the season. As you can see, being completely defeated, they have not had a lot of knockouts this season as well. The only thing that's been leading them with knockouts has been Fletchling with 2 knockouts. Hasn't brought with them so far the Rattata, the Archon, and the Bergmite throughout this season so far, and has kind of been mixing it up between all the other mons for it. So, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening for the remainder of the 3 weeks, if the Pittsburgh Pichus and Grand Canyon Greninjas even battle anymore. Like I said, I have no idea what ended up happening. I know that the coach of the Pittsburgh Pichus, Nexus, always seems to have internet issues, and had in their last battle that they had before in Week 2 with the St. Louis Rampardos, had a lot of disconnecting issues to the point where the match was never finished, but the match was eventually awarded to the St. Louis Rampardos for it. So, hopefully they can try and figure out their internet situation and make it through to the rest of the season. But that is going to go ahead and wrap up this analysis video. Like I said, if you do enjoy, please leave it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these teams you think can make it into the playoffs as well. So, I'll be back in a little bit later on today with our coverage of the final division, which will be the Sinnoh division. So, thank you all very much for watching. Take care and good night.